Natural and technogenic catastrophes involve a huge number of deaths of people. They leave an irreparable trace in the history. We present to your attention a top of 5 accidents in the world. On the 5th place is explosion on the oil piper Alpha platform. Explosion happened on July 6, 1988 and is recognized as the most awful accident for all history of oil extracting branch. Accident cost $3.5 billion. Piper Alpha is the only burned-down oil extracting platform in the world as a result of leak of gas and the subsequent explosion, and also as a result of unreasoned and undecisive actions of the personnel. 167 people from 226 being at the moment on a platform were lost. Only 59 survived. At once after explosion, on a platform oil and gas production was stopped. However, because pipelines of a platform were connected to the general network, on which there were hydrocarbons from other platforms, and on that production and supply of oil and gas in the pipeline long time didn't decide to stop, waited for permission of the top management of the company. The huge amount of hydrocarbons continued to arrive on pipelines that supported the fire. Death of the RLC. Onset of the reasons: social, climatic, soil and biological. In 50 years, the RLC is almost completely dried up. On his place, the huge salt Aral-Qum Desert was formed now. Once RLC was the lake, the 4th by the sizes in the world. In the 60th of majority of inflows of the RLC started being used for irrigation and other rural and masters need. Feed of the lake fresh water became lesser and smaller, with what dying of the lake is connected gradual. His bottom is covered with salt deposits with impurity of pesticides, which were used for fertilizer of fields. During strong winds begin sandstorms, and inhalation of their particles can cause serious damage to human health and animals. On the 3rd place is emission of oil from the Prestige tanker. It was the one-case tanker and floated under the Bahamas flag. His accident was resulted by the largest sea environmental disaster at coast of Europe. On November 13, 2002, the tanker got to a whole gale near coast of Galicia. As a result of it, in the vessel was formed the crack, 35 meters long, and the tanker started escaping oil, about 1,000 tons per day. Attempts to rescue Prestige were made, but the Spanish coastal authorities forbade coming into the nearest ports. Portugal didn't resolve an entrance of the faulty tanker to the waters, and the vessel in distress was decided to tow off in the sea. On November 19, 2002, Prestige broke up into 2 parts and sank in 209 kilometers from Galicia. In the sea, more than 20 million gallons of oil that caused irreparable injury of all to sea and coastal fauna and fishing industry poured out. On the 2nd place is Bhopal accident. Accident in the Indian city of Bhopal is one of the most larger loss of human life on number. 18,000 people were lost because of leak of chemicals on December 3, 1984 at Union Carbide plant. 3,000 from which were lost in day of accident. 60,000 liters of insecticide chemical, which is widely used at that time 7, were stored at plant in the barrels, which are partially driven in the earth. Because of malfunction of a cooling system, there was an emission of one of chemical derivative. 42 tons of vapors of poisonous compounds of methyl isocyanate led to numerous loss of life in nearby slums and also in the territory of the railway station. Huge loss of human life could be much less if not so a dense population, adverse weather conditions and a trace amount of the medical personnel. The consensus about the reasons of this accident, despite numerous trials and examinations, does not exist still. It is considered that one of the reasons of an event is sabotage of work of plant and coercion it to save on safety measures. Chernobyl. On the 1st place, the most global technogenic environmental disaster is explosion on the Chernobyl MPP. This accident cost to the world $200 billion, thus that works on elimination are not finished even half. On April 26, 1986, on the Chernobyl NPP in the former USSR, there was the most terrible nuclear accident in the history. More than 135,000 people living in the radius of 30 kilometers, 19 miles from the destroyed reactor, and 35,000 bests were evacuated. Round the station located close to the Ukrainian-Belarusian border created an exclusion zone, unprecedented by the size. By the way, we considered a subject of Chernobyl in the previous video. Well, that's all, friends. See you soon. Bye.